drawing that grew out of the Sidney Poitier pictures last week. Because when Sidney Poitier first appeared in The Blackboard Jungle, when that was released in 1955, that was a time of segregation in the South, which is why it was such a scandalous movie in its way. And 1955 was the year that Rosa Parks was asked to move down the bus, for example, in Montgomery, Alabama. It was also the year when Emmett Till was lynched in Mississippi. Emmett Till was a 14-year-old black kid from Chicago who went to Mississippi in August of that year to visit relatives. And while he was there, he went into a grocery store and either made a face or whistled or something at the white wife of the grocery store owner. She was 21. As a result, the grocery store owner ambushed Emmett Till, this 14-year-old kid, and killed him. Shot him in the head and then dumped his body in a river. It was horrible. The shock waves went across America. And in fact, Emmett Till's lynching became one of the seeds that were planted, along with the Rosa Parks incident and so on, and many others, on the way to the civil rights movement. It's a horrifying story, made even worse by the fact that an all-white jury later acquitted Emmett Till's murderer, or murderers. There were actually two of them. Now remember, 1954, the year before, was when Oprah was born in Mississippi. And 1955 is when The Blackboard Jungle came out, starring Sidney Poitier. It was that kind of time. And I thought I would take a look at the transition pictures for Emmett Till and see how those went. And when I went into the energy and I saw that symbolic cave I always see, Emmett Till was falling from the ceiling. But only for a second, because then he vanished. He was like a flash frame. Then he came back and he continued falling. And then he was gone. Flash frame. And it went on like that. It was almost like he didn't die immediately. He kept coming into consciousness and going away again, coming back again, going away again. Flash frame all the way down. And when I looked further around the cave, he wasn't there. All there was a pool on the ground. Now, usually when I see water in these transition pictures, it relates to mourning, public mourning, and there was certainly a lot of that. But eventually, he emerged from the pool. He was the pool. He wasn't just pulling himself out of it. He was the pool. This was something so seminal, so important, that the mourning surrounding his death and his funeral was a catalyst for change. Now, of course, he was terrified. I have never done pictures where somebody was this terrified. He sat against the wall shaking. He just wanted to go over and put your arms around him and say, it's going to be okay. There are many, many good people out here. But of course, I couldn't do anything. Eventually, he pulled himself together and found the courage to move out, stand up, and look at his environment. He was really, really frightened. And there must be times when the universe senses this fear. Because in his case, as he looked out across this vast metaphorical cavern I always see, a beam of light came down from the ceiling, almost like it was beckoning him. Come on, come and stand here. And he stood in the light and was offered solace, was offered a welcome. You're okay. This is going to be fine. He didn't feel fine. He felt like his life had been taken away from him, which of course it had. But he felt that. When he stepped out of the light, he was like a malfunctioning hologram. His consciousness was fractured. He felt like he was being punished for something he hadn't done, simply for being him. And who can be punished simply for existing? And he went up the tunnel, all the while crying, wishing he could go back and change things. When he finally emerged into the cave with the light in it that I always see, he was like a kid on his first day in school, awkward, doubtful, insecure, not knowing where to go, not wanting to go. And once again, this was recognized by grace, because instead of him having to do anything, the power of grace enfolded him. There was a light that came around him and enfolded him and carried him away. And Emmett Till was gone. But what these pictures made me think of was that justice doesn't come into this on the other side of the ethereal divide. Justice is a human thing, a mortal thing. The universe is about balance, not about what's fair and what isn't fair. And it's possible that some people are born for such a specific purpose, which can include dying in horrible ways, so that they are instrumental in some kind of change. If this had not happened to you, that would not have happened for millions of people who benefited. And when he stepped into the light in the cave initially, it was almost like a well done. Your mission is completed. To us, the whole thing is horrifying. In spiritual terms, it's entirely possible that Emmett Till and those like him were instruments in a spiritual orchestra, basically. Changing the world, shaping the world, helping those who are still alive to revise their views, to become more compassionate. It fuels understanding. It's grace working in extraordinary ways. And we wouldn't wish what happened to Emmett Till on anybody. And yet it happened to a lot of people back then, out of ignorance and prejudice. But Emmett Till could be like Gandhi, Martin Luther King. People who endured this fate, an unfair, unjust fate from a mortal perspective, in order that the human race could grow in spiritual ways. And of course it seems unfair when it's you. It's inexplicable when it's you, especially if you're 14 years old. And yet the universe, God, knows what it's doing. That's what I felt when I did Emmett Till's pictures. The universe knows what it's doing. And what seems dreadfully unfair to us in the bigger spiritual picture is for the benefit of all mankind. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, as ever. Subscribe if you would. Like, share. Follow me on Twitter @CashPeters if you want. Otherwise, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.